Ilhan wasn't impressed by the people arriving late. People told the young man that came out of the car that the monster was already dead. One of them looked at the bear and noticed Ilhan's mask. The company approached him and asked him a lot of questions since they were impressed that he defeated the monster alone. Ilhan wasn't responding to what made one of the men angry, but the other man talked him down. Ilhan didn't want to talk since he hated small talk. The company turned to the military man and asked them if they needed help with anything else. Military man answered that they got more calls and if they could help. Naturally, they accepted since that's their job. Ilhan was kind of jealous of his skill at talking to new people. Suddenly, he approached him and introduced himself as Do Yujun and offered him a hand. Ilhan didn't shake his hand, so Do Yujun continued saying to see how he handled the bear. He doesn't think he'll be able to catch up to him during the first quest, but he will for sure pass him up, so he better remember his name. Ilhan turned to him and asked him what he would do when he passed him. He was first surprised and then smiled nicely. In a word of levels, it's easy to tell who is the strongest, and one day he'll be higher than anyone else. Ilhan thought to himself, that's a really boring reason. So he asked him if he needed a rival. Yujun was taken by surprise. Ilhan continued, if he really needs someone to compare himself to in order to grow, what is the point of becoming stronger for the sole point of becoming better than someone else? He doesn't have the guts. If he really wants to grow stronger, do it quietly and by yourself. Why do you want to stress other people out? If you want to become better than anyone else, he should think about becoming the best version of himself, or at least that's what he wanted to say. Do Yujun was already gone before he could say anything. After a while, he got the bear leather that was pretty good. He was approached by a nice military man who wanted to tell him something. He told him about an app that will allow him to see where monsters are. Ilhan asked him if it's okay for him to share this top secret with him. He responded that it's for the sake of other citizens and will benefit all. Ilhan left after that. Another soldier asked the lieutenant if it's okay to let him go so easily if they shouldn't force him to cooperate. He responded that the person with his abilities is not going to listen to them. He is sure he will grow stronger, and if they try to contain him, it might just backfire on them. The world is no longer bound by the same rules, so it's better to coexist and help each other. Smart reasoning. On the other side, Eartha saw the same point. If the military would try to contain him, he might destroy all the military just to not follow the rules. But Ilhan thought they all overestimated him, even though Eartha said he might underestimate himself. Ilhan noticed there are 3 more monsters close by that just appeared. What should they do? Eartha said, what's the point of worrying? Let's just defeat all 3, smiling at Ilhan. He smiled back and said, perfect, let's do this. After deleting all 3 monsters, Ilhan was bummed that he went up only 1 level, but the monsters were weaker than the previous monster, and because of his class 1, needs more experience to level up. But at least he got a lot of money selling items. He now has 10 million in cash. He wanted to buy a house, but Eartha told him he'll make himself easily traceable, and it'll reveal his cover. He should just listen to her, so just this time she'll erase the memory of officers, so he has nothing to worry about. He excitedly said that magic from angels is the best. The next morning he got a special status window saying that the broken connection with the other world has been restored. From now on, he can physically go to the other world. Ilhan is summoned to complete quests to receive proper compensation. He became worried that maybe he'll get summoned someplace where he'll be all alone again. Ilhan showed the message he received to Eartha and asked her what the meaning of it was. She said that the monsters on Earth were getting too strong, so she looked around at some things. That's when she wanted to send him to the other world to make it safer for people to gain experience. Ilhan was angry about that. Other people can go there, but he can't do that. He's gonna be left alone again. What will he tell his mother? Eartha told him it's not quite possible for him to go to the other world if he becomes a greater being. He can go to the other world and also the heavens. He'll be on the same level as angels. He thought about how he'd be able to see Lita again. Eartha thought to herself that those two look like they are in a long-distance relationship. He would do that. In the living room, the TV was on and the reporter announced urgent news. Starting from that day, the emergency state of martial law has been declared all through the country. Ilhan's parents explained that all over the world, schools and companies should shut down so the military could hunt down the monsters. Ilhan looked at his parents and told them they should go to the other world. Father asked him what the point was, as he couldn't even reach second-class change in 10 years. Ilhan explained that more monsters will appear on Earth and the other world will be safer. He understood and told him to see him soon, and not to give up, and immediately teleported to the other world. His mother was obviously shocked at how tactless this was. She continued to put food on the table and told her son that she has different thoughts than his dad. Even though doing his best is great, he should take care of himself. Ilhan started eating and told her that food is delicious and of course he will take care of himself. Mother told him she knows he's the masked man. He was shocked. she knew. She recognized him the first time she saw him on the news. She isn't sure how he got that strong, but she is still worried for him like any mother would be. Be careful about monsters, but also evil people. They're scarier than monsters, she said, scolding him. After that, she took off as well, wishing him to be careful before she left. Eartha came to him while he was doing the dishes to tell him she's going to Heavens to get more quests. He told her to bring ice cream and waved at her. Last night, he bought a storage unit with his money, so that's his new workshop. He needed to take care of the bones and leather so they don't go bad. Hardening leather takes too long, and at this rate, Ilhan is unsure how long it will really take him to finish creating his equipment. You can take care of that with magic, said Eartha behind him. He turned to ask her if she was already back and if she brought ice cream, but was shocked because she was a proper size. She told him to give her his hand, and she has to give him a reward. Status screens appear saying he completed the quest and got awards. One of the rewards was the eternal flame. He asked her what that was, but Eartha showed the other side where the flame was with her cute googly eyes. It was a flame that would grow and never go out. Precious flame of the heavens. An everlasting flame that's alive? That's just what he needed. Eartha told him Lita gave it to him. His eyes turned big hearing her name. Eartha said Lita was worried about him and thought to herself that couples should go to hell. She also told him the news that the heavens gave him another quest since he can't go to the other world. As of now, he'll be creating a dungeon on Earth. Ilhan was understandably confused and said he thinks he can't do it, but he can make some ramen and offers it to her. She insisted that he should be helping create dungeons and he figured it's her quest but wants him to help. That made him angry and said that half of the things she told him were not true, and what's the point of believing what she says? Eartha said it was God who stopped time on Earth and all the beings were influenced by his power, gaining resistance to his strength and resulting in reactions that don't normally happen in dungeons. Ilhan developed skills for the past millennium, so they're like godlike, and he should help build a dungeon. He was suspicious why Eartha was complimenting him all of a sudden. It was out of her character. She's making him do something hard, but she said it's a win-win as he'll get rewards. Also, if he doesn't help, monsters will have nowhere to go and humanity will suffer as a result. She showed him a full bag of materials used by higher beings, Arcanium, Pessinum, and El Hazra, alongside some tools she brought. He got excited, but the tools were basic, everyday tools, so he was confused. Eartha told him they need him to make a magic tool to attract monsters. It transforms the surrounding area and becomes a dungeon and gives him the blueprints for it. By looking at it, he knew it won't be easy, but it got him excited. He started working on it using his eternal flame. Eartha started questioning if she should have told him to choose blacksmithing instead of lancer. He might have been able to create weapons that will challenge the power of the gods. He finished making a little cube as a basic shape, and now to the next step, hoping he doesn't make a mistake. Eartha said if he makes a mistake, he can start over. No biggie. He really focused on craving that cube. Eartha looked at him and finally understood how Lita must have felt and why she likes him so much. It was finished. His blacksmithing skills went to the max and gained the title of Creator of Legends. Eartha was impressed how quickly he did it. She asked him in shock if he completed it already. He said it's been 5 hours, so it wasn't that quick. She didn't believe he did it in only 5 hours, so he threw it in her hand and told her to check it herself. It was perfect. It was time to use mana crafting, and Eartha will call her fellow angels to help. Will Lita be among them? Ilhan asked hopefully. She blatantly crushed his hopes. Answering the call were 3 beautiful angels. They started commenting that it's unbelievable that a human made this device in such a short time. Eartha stopped the conversation and told them to hurry up since they don't have time to lose. Let's start. They started mana crafting right away. They told Ilhan that he just needs to focus on having the will to complete the trap of destruction and set up, and they will take care of everything else. The angels put one hand on Ilhan's shoulders, and magic shot through Ilhan's body. He felt intense pressure, like he was being pressed down by mana from all directions. He focused on the mission and tried to ignore all those powers pressing upon him. He thought about what would be an attractive thing for animals that endured loneliness for 1,000 years, something that would comfort that loneliness. Angels were impressed by Ilhan's ability to endure such power since most people would faint just seeing an angel. He sure was fascinating to them. The trap was set and the status window appeared that he completed it. Angels couldn't believe he successfully did it in one try, and that it even has alpha and beta options. Eartha explained to Ilhan that those are additional options that are attached to the end product of Manacraft. That's what the words clandestine and earth are. It will appear randomly based on the luck, the material, and the ability of the artisan. It's super rare to see alpha and beta options for first crafted items. Angels told him he's incredible and they went to set the dungeon. They flew him out and Earth looked like the apocalypse had happened, which isn't that far off. After some time, they found a good place to set it on. It looked like a nice country road. Eartha threw the dice in the air and it disappeared. All the monsters started focusing on the distance where the trap was and rushed there. Angels couldn't deny that he's talented at making traps. As Ilhan watched animals rushing to the trap, he thought about how God's power is overwhelming. He's able to send all the humans into different worlds in an instant and render monsters helpless with his omnipotent power. In the end, humans are only dancing at the palm of God. And he was just left behind because of one error. Only thanks to Lita, he didn't go insane, but Lita isn't with him right now, so he wants to become stronger, so no one will be able to control him as they wish. He wants to become stronger for the sake of his own freedom. Eartha and Ilhan were on the couch listening to the news about the dungeons and how monsters had entered it. As Ilhan was wondering when his parents would come back, Eartha commented that the dungeons look like they're functioning with no problem. He complained that she told him he needs to make 27 more. And why did Angels already go back, since he would be able to resume work right away? She told him that traps take a lot of mana and angels need 2 days to recover. But they aren't the only angels, are they? For example, there's also Lita. But angels aren't so free, as they have their own tasks to complete, and Lita won't have time to come. Anyway, he decided to go back to the workshop. At the workshop, Eartha looked at bones and leather on the table and told him since yesterday went so well, she'll give him a present. She used magic to dry and serialize the monster leather in an instant. He was impressed and decided to make gloves and boots with it. He completed them perfectly, and now he will make armor out of bear leather. Ilhan worked on it for a day without sleeping, and he completed it. Finally, he had armor. He strengthened it with bones and added an additional function into his armor. It has hidden retractable thorns that pop out if it takes damage. His armor also had alpha and beta options. And from leftover bones, he decided he'll make a knife for butchery, since a spear isn't so handy for that. From wolf bones, he made a skull mask, and now he has a new mask. He tried his armor and everything fit perfectly. Mask even added points to his invisibility. Suddenly, they heard a noise coming from outside. It sounded like a fight with the monsters. They heard a scream announcing that a second-class large monster appeared. They were surprised that there's a monster not trapped in the dungeon. Ilhan hoped it would be a weaker monster than a bear, as he had just made the armor, and if the monster was stronger, he'd have to make another one. Before they went out, he just fixed his spear a little, increasing its power. When they arrived at the scene, there was the military, and others who had class, already fighting a big leopard that was stronger than a bear. The monster was strong and everyone struggled. He put his new mask on. He would risk his life to protect others, but if he needed to work a little harder to save lives, he could do that much. And then he joined the fray. Military hit the leopard straight in the face with a tank shot. It did nothing except draw its attention. It picked it up like a toy. Ilhan used the element of surprise to attack it, managing to score a critical hit. When people saw him, they were happy and believed they were saved. Military attacked the monster with guns, and as Ilhan was jumping, he noticed 2 soldiers in the tank. Leopard attacked before and saved them as they were trapped. They were very grateful to Sun Gain Bolt. Ilhan told them to run as the attention of the monster was on him again. He figured that the monster is smart and goes for the biggest threat. But he wasn't worried and got in a position to fight.